I'm Antoinette James, reporter in Hei-Wakaputanga jurisdiction. Welcome to Behind the Beehive, where I look behind the corporation jurisdiction's political show and try and reveal the truth. You will have heard of the Waikato Initiative Summit. Again, this is all about the well-being. It is controlled by the Treasury in New Zealand, and I have spoken many times over the last 2 years in these videos about the Waikato Wellbeing Summit and what that's looking like and why the Treasury's there. So the Treasury have indicators, the New Zealand Treasury have indicators. What we're meaning here is we're being watched, we're being spied on. It's data collection, it's being done globally. So our Treasury, rather than looking after the finances and working well with the money, our taxes, are now spying on us, and data collection, depot really, and looking to see what we're doing and how they need to tweak us. Remember Clinton's quote at the UN, it's all happening. They're thinking about all sorts of different ways to get what they need. We're being audited for the elites, audited for the United Nations. So I want to just remind you where this, well really it's a WEgo initiative known as the Waikato Initiative. It's WEgo. Let's go back, step back to 2019 when the New Zealand Herald did a little piece. So I'd like to read that just to set the platform there and just to put that context back into our memory. Finance Minister Grant Robertson was in Hamilton to help start the process to develop 17 well-being targets for the Waikato. But the New Zealand Herald actually got it wrong because the Waikato Wellbeing Initiative only works with 10. The targets are based on the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations Agenda 2030, set by the United Nations in 2015. That's when contracted. Waikato is the first New Zealand region to undertake the ambitious project of developing its own set of Sustainable Development Goals that align internationally. Community leaders are coming together, I mean Marxist leaders that they've chosen, to start the 3-month goal-setting process, which involves collaboration between iwi government, business and community residents. I didn't get my invite. I don't know about you. I know some individuals that did because I did a little bit of zipping down that rabbit hole several years ago. And those individuals are definitely left-leaning Marxist, greenies, pantheistic-based people. So when they say community residents, hand-picked. The result will be measurable well-being goals for the region to achieve by 2030. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are a blueprint that help governments, businesses, organizations achieve a better, more sustainable future for all. They address challenges affecting all communities nationwide, including poverty, equality, climate, environmental degradation, prosperity, peace and justice. Here we go, the New World Order. Here's another quote. This is a quote from the United Nations. This is in their Biodiversity Treaty. Just to help, again, put the Waikato Initiative, which is part of WEgo, that's coming out of Scotland, into a little bit more context within the United Nations worldview, the way they're seeing the herding of the world. People are then members of a community of beings, living and non-living. Thus, rivers may be viewed as mothers, animals may be treated as kin. One health. This is pantheism. This, some people say, oh, rocks and rivers have been elevated to human status. We as humans, made in the image of God with inalienable rights, are being brought down to the status of a rock, to the status of a river. It's the elites since the 1960s through their corporations that have caused the pollution in this world, not we the people. They traded out our glass milk bottles for plastic. They traded out our paper bag full of groceries for plastic. It wasn't we the people. They did it. And then they started to blame us. So now they're saying that we need to tidy this up. We need to bring humans down to this big community. And they're doing that off the back of pantheistic religions. And a lot of communities, a lot of people groups still are pantheistic in their spirituality. I see it this way: there's only two spiritual paths that you can take in this life. And one is sun worship, S-U-N, pantheistic. And the other is sun worship, S-O-N, and that's the Christian spirituality. That's it. It's either S-U-N or S-O-N. And we're being headed down an S-U-N spiritual path. So the United Nations looks around the globe. You look at their documentations, particularly through UNESCO, masses of citation from sun, S-U-N, worshipping people groups still here alive today. And that's where they're hurting us. First, what they do to the West, because that's the Protestant Christian seat, is the philosophical seat of the West. We destroy Christianity. We swap out spirituality. We tell people that they're no more than the cells they're made of. It doesn't matter which gender you are. It's got nothing to do with who you've been made in the image of. Once we despiritualize the West, then we can bring in a new concept that, holistic. We have a spiritual side. We've destroyed Christianity. Now we're bringing pantheistic spirituality to the West. And that was really brought in the 60s during the hippie movement, and really spearheaded by the band The Beatles, that went to the East and got their guru, and the rest is history, as they say. In my book, Under the Shadow, Agenda 21 in New Zealand, and that is quite a comprehensive book on what's happening in New Zealand for Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. It goes into the Waikato Initiative and more. If we don't know what's happening, we don't know what we're fighting. We need to not just fight the cobwebs, we need to kill the spider. Under the Shadow, Agenda 21 in New Zealand identifies the spider. Another quote from the Waikato Wellbeing Project.co.nz, the Waikato Initiative. Our summit is a call to action. It's always a call to action. It's like what's Gore saying now, that it's not global warming, it's global boiling. A call to amplify and accelerate effort that has turned global goals into local targets and now needs to catalyze those targets into action. We have an opportunity to rejuvenate a holistic narrative of interrelatedness and intergenerational well-being, word salad, that has existed at the heart of Te Ao Māori for centuries. Because you're looking at sun worship, S-U-N, traditional Māori spirituality, before many of them became Christians in the 1800s. And develop that narrative to embrace the challenges of today's complex international world. Yeah, it's a web of elites' documentation to herd us to the gulag. Then it talks about the following are the 10 Waikato wellbeing targets that I said were there. So they have goal 5, goal 9, 10, 16 and 17 missing. They are missing because there aren't going to be any people living in the Waikato, so those particular goals are not needed. The Waikato Wellbeing.co.nz, the targets are aimed at achieving a more environmentally sustainable, prosperous and inclusive Waikato region by 2030, meaning no humans, we're going to go back to wilding. The 10 well-being targets are the region's first set of well-being targets to end poverty. My goodness. So that can't happen by just leaving us alone to look after our own communities. No, it can't. Fight inequality and action on climate change targets are based on the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Another quote here. This is Finance Minister Grant Robinson committed Treasury involvement to the Waikato Wellbeing Project, and this is by Richard Walker, 2019. Finance Minister Grant Robinson acknowledges Waikato was ahead of the game and promised Treasury involvement in the region's wellbeing project when he spoke at its launch in August 2019. The project's aim to make Waikato the first New Zealand region to develop 17 wellbeing goals based on those set by the United Nations. Now, Labour in 2021 brought out a wellbeing budget, another one, and a certain lady's name seems to have come up out of the globalist parapet, and her name is Catherine Trebeck. And she really is at the forefront of the herding of we New Zealanders to the gulag. So I was kind of interested in her. She is all about another organisation called WEall. So we've got WEgo, but within that we have WEall. No one left behind. You know, remember what Comrade said? Nobody's going to be left behind. And we have ways to make sure that anyone that is left behind is supported by the barrel of a gun, I would imagine. So I'd just like to quote WEall.org, what they have to say for themselves and what Catherine's all about. WEall Aotearoa is a registered charity, they always are, funded by the government, focused on sharing and creating new knowledge and policy to influence change towards wellbeing economy. Okay, so it's a change agent organisation to make sure we're going to push through to this well-being Marxist economy. Spreading and amplifying powerful narratives of hope to change the debate and inspire New Zealanders, brainwash New Zealanders, from all walks of life, and strengthening and supporting and connecting existing mahi to build a movement for well-being economy. So another lot of gobbledygook. Members have participated in global forums, collaborated internationally to craft the Wellbeing Policy Design Guide. Whoa, okay, which was launched in 2020 and trialled in Aotearoa. Well, that sounds like this is kind of from outside New Zealand. It is, and it isn't. The WEall Aotearoa hub. Okay, right. So it's just a little hub. It's just a little group. Has been active, hosting webinars and events across Aotearoa, commenting in media and speaking at conferences. In 2023, WEall Aotearoa planning an economic for public good campaign, economic listening tour, and hosting the Economy for the Public Good conference at the AUT to promote policies to advance a wellbeing economy. New Zealand is one of the 3 founding members of the Wellbeing Economy Government's WEgo initiative. So there it is. There's the connection. So who is a Trebeck? We can learn a little bit about her from the WEall.org. This is a report that she had with Radio New Zealand, and this is the transcript of that, or part of it anyway. Catherine Trebeck is a political economist, writer and advocate for economic system change. Whoa, Marxist. She is the co-founder of the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, an international collaborative organisation focused on the economic system change. Dr. Trebeck's role includes writer-at-large at the University of Edinburgh, yep, you heard it here first, Scotland, consultant to the Club of Rome, yes, she's an important person, a strategic advisor for the Centre of Policy Development and Economic Strategy advisor to the Next Economy. She's also the author of the economics of arrival. Whoa, they've worked out what it's going to look like when we get there. Ideas for a grown-up economy. Propagandize everyone. That's how you fool everyone. We're going to be grown up. Dr. Trebeck has been in New Zealand, wish you go home, for a series of talks and workshops with MBIE, the Productive Commission. Talks hosted by Wellington and Auckland councils. So our rates people, are you still paying your rates? Are you really? And accounting firm Grant Thornton. So that's what they're all about. And you know, they sent out a nice little newsletter this year. Open letter to We the People. You know, hard to find. You know, when it comes to the census, it's in all our letterboxes. We've got someone knocking on our door. But for something like this, nah, you've got to search that out yourself. Let me read a little bit of what she wrote to us. In this Pānui WEall, Aotearoa is excited to announce the date and venue of our first national conference and proud to update you on our work. So there's a conference. It's not yet. It's coming up later on this year. It's going to cost you $100, I think, to go to. Update you. I don't think it's going to be us. We won't be allowed to get in. Around Aotearoa communities, there it is again, communities, and businesses are developing new economic approaches that can share wealth more equitably and protect and restore our environment. So if you work really hard and burst your boiler and do quite well, you will be taxed, you will be disciplined, and that money will go to someone else because it's all going to be a one system economy, or at least universal income. From climate change and biodiversity loss to inequality and social cohesion, it is clear that we will need to lay down new economic tracks. It's going to hurt people. That's a message our country-led Gareth Hughes is hearing loud and clear as he travels around New Zealand in his camper van this winter, talking to everyday people in towns and cities across Aotearoa about what they want the economy to be and how we can build an economy that puts well-being of people and the planet first. Code for going to the gulag. Catherine Trebeck stated in May this year, 2023, that her group, WEall, is about giving the people the economy they want and need. That's just in case we don't want to be part of that. I just want to finish very quickly with the 7 keys that we all are promoting so that we're understanding what it's going to look like if we're in a Delphi meeting, or the council send out a word salad newsletter to us, or we're just looking for new vocabulary that our councils are going to use. I'm going to go through these very quickly. 1, promote the well-being of people and planet. That's One Health people. 2, participation diverse communities. That means they don't want to hear from you if you're conservative or you have a Christian worldview where we are good stewards of the environment and we don't need to have a club over our head as individual sovereigns. 3, economy policies are embedded in local values, culture, context, and objectives. So it's values. We get rid of the Christian virtues now and we bring in values that can change like that. And will be different in each council because they don't want us, we the people, seeing and collaborating. It's going to look very different, so we can't join the dots. 4, encourage continuous learning. That's, learning, life learning. It's not real true learning. It's just learning to be a good global citizen and being compliant. Encourage continuous learning and experimentation to find innovative solutions that foster well-being. And those innovative solutions, that's going to be what the elites deem right for us, what we need, as Trebeck said. And down in another key further on, they make that a little bit more obvious. 4 also says, and experimentation to find innovative solutions that foster well-being. So that we're going to be experimented on. So, we'll euthanize and we'll abort, and we'll see how that goes. And then we might say, well, actually, we're not going to really allow home ownership. We'll experiment with that. We're going to experiment with how well our treat policies go and our wilding policy goes, and we'll tax people more. We're going to experiment to see how we can herd them. That's what they're meaning there. 5, holistic. The economy is part of and not distinctive from society and the environment. Yeah, well, we learnt that from the United Nations biodiversity assessment earlier on in this talk. 6, evidence-based policy making is formed through a systematic use of qualitative and quantitative evidence. They're going to use both those. They'll find the dissenters. They'll work out, again, is it better to have these people euthanized? Who should be vaccinated? They've already got different vaccinations for different people's genetics. We're one human race, but we do have different genetics that predetermine things like sickle cell disease and things like that. You know what I'm meaning here. They have vaccines that can organize or take out a group of people very easily and effectively. Number 7, strength of communities achieving the positive aspirations of society rather than purely mitigating negative outcomes. They cause the chaos and then they bring the order to it. So they don't want to do that now, They're happy now to have moved past that model to just having us compliant. If we're not, of course, they'll bring the chaos back and then get their order. So that's all about their mitigating negative outcomes, because when they cause the chaos, they can never really be sure just how we the people react. So they're always having to mitigate any negative outcomes. And they do that through their secret societies all the time. What can we do? Well, you could stop paying your taxes if that's the battle you're prepared to fight. It's not a legal requirement. Companies are different if they've been registered because they're a corporation. How are your rates going? Are you wanting to say, well, actually, you itemize not paying it until you tell me what my money's going to? The people in the council sit on enormous salaries and get a lot of sneaky stuff under the table. Write to your MPs and the government. Write to the government. But most of all, you can change jurisdiction. In New Zealand, we've got He Wakaputanga jurisdiction. And you can fly your flag, which heralds that jurisdiction. You can put up your trespass notices. I have some wonderful He Wakaputanga trespass notices that you can get from me if you would like to email me. I will email those out to you. You put 3 up your pathway to your front door. They are not affiliated with any group out there, because there are different groups out there in He Wakaputanga jurisdiction that saying follow us, join us. These trespass notices are not affiliated with any of them. They're good generic ones standing as we the people in He Wakaputanga jurisdiction. But you do need to gather together with your like-minded people in your community and think about being a community in He Wakaputanga jurisdiction. Once you've got a community together, again, you can email me. We have a federation, and we're actually in talks with some of the chiefs in Waitangi. Really important, wonderful talks. So you can be part of that if you choose. Up to you. Our federation is a body of independent and sovereign communities, hapus, that are choosing to come together for strength, because we need a national backing. I've looked, as you know, into He Wakaputanga, the different groupings that are there, whether it be the Wakaminenga Māori government, no go, whether it be Kahuarao, no go. They're not going to be an effective national backing for we as one people in New Zealand. But a confederacy of independent communities where we come together, not top down, bottom up, is the He Wakaputanga model. I'm going to leave it there today. Thank you very much for joining me. You have a great day. Bless you now.